as I guess he was probably 16 back in that time. I don't know what age they started then. And he was so nervous. And he was looking at the ground right over the hood of the car and kind of driving, looking down. And the police officer, the ones who took him out at that time, looked at him and said, "Boy, don't look at the ground in front of you. Look at the big picture." There's something about the big picture that gives you perspective. You kind of know where you are in relation to your environment. And this is what we all have to do. You have to look at the details, but drive your life like you drive your car. Don't look down all the time. Get your head up to look at the big picture. So, here's my question. How do you recover from disaster after disaster? This was Joseph's life. He had been accustomed to being first place in his family. He was one of his daddy's favorite boys. Benjamin, the last one, he is the second to last. Dad was proud because he was the son of his old age and from the wife, sorry to tell you, that the one he loved. He had 2 wives and 2 chicks on the side, right? But thank God for those women because they helped to build up the nation of Israel. But he loved Joseph. He loved Joseph. Everything was going right for the guy. How do you begin to conceive of how somebody feels when all of a sudden everything starts going wrong? You ever had episodes in your life when everything was just going wrong?
Yeah.
Am I the only one? You two? There's 3 of us?
Yeah.
You don't know. Keep living, son. Keep living, daughter. It's going to happen. Like everything is going wrong. This was Joseph's life. This guy had been given a gift and he'd been given a dream. He could dream things that never were, things that were amazing to believe, and things that when he shared them got him into deep trouble. Just because you got a gift don't mean you're not going to get in trouble. Can I tell you that the reverse is most of the time true? Because people get jealous. People don't like it when you excel. It's not that people want you to excel when they excel. And it's not just that they want to excel better than you. They don't want you to excel. They want to be the only ones, just like the companies that sell products. They don't want to be number one. They want to be the only one. You ask them. Walmart wants to be the only one, and they're trying everything they can. Amazon trying to be the only one. Name a company. Apple should have a long time ago been the only one. I'm glad they're not, because there's a need for competition, Jonathan. There's a need for competition out there, and I'm glad you're there. Somebody's got to buy that stuff. He had a gift and a dream that made him feel really good about himself, but his brothers didn't like it. He didn't realize, he was naive, didn't understand. You don't tell everything that's in your mind. Don't tell everybody all your dreams. The ones who smile with you and say they're your friend may not be. Which doesn't mean you don't share with people, but you have to pick and choose, and you pick and choose how much you share. Because, gosh, man, my sister's about to get herself the biggest, prettiest house. And, boy, I know when I go out there, I'm going to look around and say, I ain't got one of them. Ooh, goodness, her ceiling taller than mine. That's human life. That's us. We celebrate with each other, but we don't want to be shown up. Joseph's brothers were shown up by him. Not only did he have the best looking clothes, right? Had a signifying coat that said he was special and preeminent. Come to find out, it was a prophetic coat, because later down the line, decades later, he became the guy who should have been wearing the coat, because he became, even though he was what? Either number 11 of 13 or 10, whatever. He was one of the last ones. You know, there was a diner too. Y'all know that, right? It wasn't just 12 kids. And one of the last ones, but he became the preeminent one. His dream was right. And I don't know that he should not have shared his dream, because if he didn't share his dream, you wouldn't know about his dream today. Because if he didn't share his dream, he wouldn't have been thrown in the hole. If he wasn't thrown in the hole, he wouldn't have gone into slavery. If he didn't go into slavery, he wouldn't have been a servant in Potiphar's house. And it goes on and on and on. The dream saved the whole, not only Israel, but it saved the known world. One man with a dream. I know somebody whose birthday is coming up around in January who said, I have a dream. And we're still feasting and still dreaming parts of that dream. But this was him. All of a sudden, one day, everything changed, just like it changes for you. Let's talk about it in a second. Now, try to imagine now how it would feel to know that your siblings hate you so much that they would sell you out of their lives. Now, you know, you think your brother and sister are kind of on the outs with you, but that's some rough stuff. They sold the boy. They got good money for him. Sold him to some distant cousins called the Ishmaelites, who didn't like him. There was tension between these two groups. And these traders came along at the right time. Say at the right time. Because God will set you up and you'll get into a pickle at the right time, and you think it's the wrong time, but thank God those traders came along, because they were going to leave him in there starving to death. So you in the frying pan and they throw you in the fire and you think things got worse, but it is the launching pad for the rest of your destiny. Right now, the pickle you are in right now might be the best preservative you have ever been immersed in and drowned in. You have to learn how not to curse your present, not to curse your experience, but to praise him in the middle of it. You know, I call you holy right in the middle of it, see? I'm lost without you right in the middle of it. That's what God calls us to do. That's why adversity comes in your life, so you can show him, he already knows, and show yourself and show your unbelieving relatives and friends that you're going to do it right this time. You're really going to get off the drugs this time. You're really going to stop whatever that is you've been doing. You're really going to start what you've been promising. This time is going to be different. How about show them this time? With God's help, you can. Well, sometimes folks can hate you. Some of the ones closest to you can hate you so much. They hate you so much that they will sell you out of family. And basically they're saying, you're dead to me. They didn't ask another question. There's nothing recorded in Scripture that shows that these guys regretted anything about what they did to that boy. Reuben might have felt a little bit because he wanted to come back and get it. But he didn't have the character to go and tell Dad the truth. Dad was tortured. They come and they killed an animal and rubbed blood all over his coat. Said, some animal has torn my son apart. And they stood there and let Dad go through. Now that wasn't just jealousy. That's hatred, which is akin to murder. It's terrible. Just think about how evil that was. Joseph, his life was amazing. He had been gifted. He had been favored. He had been broken. Y'all remember last week? Been rescued and stretched and prospered and tested and abandoned and delivered and promoted and avenged and vindicated. And then, and only then, was he used as a vessel to change the world for time and eternity. Not only did he go through this, maybe not in the exact order, is your life. Take a look. For the next 5 seconds, take a look. There's not been a time when some of this, any one of these things has not happened to you. And you're waiting on the big picture to come into focus. This is an example for us. Sometimes these personalities in the scriptures are used to extremes to show us how this looks out on the edge. You wouldn't want to be Joseph, well, at least at the beginning, in the middle of his life. Now, the beginning was cool, but that middle part, no, you wanted to be the what? The big baller and what? The shot caller. You want to be the one who, but you got to pay the cost. All these cliches, y'all are full of cliches. Joseph did not know why God had chosen this path for his life, just as you may be asking. Until the very end, he looked back and said, I see it all. Meantime, he had to trust God. Just like you and me, yet he never seemed to waver. God, his wavering was not significant enough for God to write anything down in the text of significance to show that the man was a complainer. How about your life be that like that? How about somebody say that, you know what? They just don't complain. Now they're wrong, because you do complain, all of us do. But you're not the kind of person that when bad things happen to you, that's the first thing come out of your mouth. Let it be one of the last things that come out. Y'all know what I'm saying? Amen. He didn't know why God had chosen this path for his life till the end, yet he never seemed to waver. He saw the big picture. Can you say the big picture? The big picture. So he's going to go from crisis to fear. There's going to be scenes of crisis, fear, and finally repentance. Well, things come to a head, right? There's a moment of high drama and intensity at the end of his father's life, at the time of Jacob's death. Knowing human nature, Joseph's brothers, who had been constantly confused about why he was being so nice to them, and they kind of figured, this dude is smiling and said, oh no, I'm fine, no, I'm taking care of you, because he was biding his time. You ever wonder why people treat you nice? You know, what you want out of me? Or when is the next shoe going to drop? They were waiting on the next shoe to drop for many years, Joseph. Consistently, every day, he was treating them with the greatest of grace. Daddy done died now. Now, I don't have to tell y'all about the things that start happening when somebody in the family dies. Everything that was hidden was made plain and revealed. Things that people felt long time ago. I'm mad at you. You know you never loved mama like that. Mama said I'm supposed to get everything. You know? You find out what your family is made of and how much more work they got to do when somebody dies. Jacob died. They were thinking, now, this death, Joseph was thinking, my death that my dad was feeling over the last, over 13 years of his life. He mourned for 13 years over his son. I can't cause him any more pain, so I won't seek retribution over vengeance over my brothers. Not right now. I'll just wait and bide my time. And now he's dead. Jacob, their insurance policy is gone. They were confused. Why has this guy been so nice to us? They finally concluded, it is obvious that they concluded that the only reason why he had not swiftly executed them when he had them in his hand was because he didn't want to bring pain and devastation to Israel, to Jacob. Well, listen as they beg forgiveness in Genesis 50. This is pathetic. Verses 15 to 17. When Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, you know, guys, it may be that Joseph will hate us and pay us back for all the evil that we did to him. Now, would he have been justified? I'm going to tell the truth. Yes. Just like the Lord is justified in allowing you to lift up your eyes in hell. You think you're so good? It's the grace of God. Amen. And you need to be thanking him every day that your fate is not the fate that you deserve. Please don't ever say God never did anything for you. You are still alive. And whatever is working in your body is working because he had mercy on you, because he loves you. He will pay us back for all the evil we did to him. And they did a lot of evil to him. Well, they were in crisis. They knew this was the end of their lives. Obvious thing to do after you've been in crisis is to experience some serious fear. They didn't see the big picture. Joseph saw the picture, but they didn't think he did. Joseph saw it, but they had to be convinced. So in verse 16, it says, so they sent a message. Listen now, you see what they did? They did what? Sent a message to Joseph. They didn't show up. You read this many times and didn't see it, did you? They sent somebody to Joseph and go up there to that dude, man. Appeal to him. Jacob did the same thing years before. He stuck his concubines out there first. When his brother, you remember Esau? Because Esau had it out against him. He sent gifts first, just a bunch of stuff, just cattle and sheep, and I'm going to flatter you. Please don't kill me. And sent the second-hand wives out first. And so this is something that's obviously in their DNA, their social DNA or whatever. And so they sent a message to him. Here's the message. Your father, this is what they told this person to say. Listen what they told him to say. Not our father. You see it? Your father gave, this command before he died. They're desperate. Say to Joseph, please forgive the transgression of your brothers and their sin. So Dad apparently found out what happened, what had happened. He found out. Somebody told it. I don't know who told it. Joseph probably made them tell it. That's only right, isn't it? Yes. Say to Joseph, Listen, your father gave a command before he died. Say to Joseph, please forgive the transgression of your brothers and their sin. Well, he goes on, because they did evil to you. And now please forgive the transgression of the servants of the God of your father. Oh, they really throwing it on. Please forgive the servants of the God of your father. Do it because of daddy. We don't have one plea. Ain't that what the song say? Just as I am, without one plea. They could have done, the altar call at Billy Graham. Please forgive the transgression of the servants of the God of your father. They didn't appeal to Joseph on the basis of their kinship even. We your brothers, man. We messed up, man. See what happened? You was messing around. We felt bad, man. Daddy, and listen, you know that if your mama, your daddy, your uncle, or somebody treated Sully better than they treated you, and they always favoring them, you wouldn't like it. You would take it out on the kid. You're no different from these scoundrels. That's exactly what I would feel. My brother was the firstborn in our family. He got a lot of favors because of it. I got to wear his pants and his shirts and stuff. What did he do? He handed them down. Thank God there came a day when I got a little taller than him. But there was a transition point. There was a transition point. You got it on the camera? You going all the way down? There was a transition point at which Mama finally looked at that boy, Kate. We ain't got no money. We got to do something. So I think what they began to do was buy clothing that was too long for Sil and kind of hem it up. I still got the hand-me-down. So they started letting the hem out. At least one part of the clothes was new to me. And now, though I understood it in my head, there's something wrong with him getting the new stuff. Now, my daddy and mama didn't love him any more than they loved me, but it just didn't feel right. But, time came along and I had to hand mine down to Don, poor Don. You can pretty much imagine how those clothes looked by that time. And then, fast forward. He's a senior in high school, and during the summer, he gets a trip. My aunt, they call her Auntie. Auntie was a world traveler. She had a travel agency up in Newark, New Jersey. She wanted to expose the family to a thing. That's what our family did, just expose us to things. And so we're going to take Sil, and we're going to take him down to the Bahamas. I looked at Don. Don looked at me. What's up? They didn't love him any more than they loved me, but it sure felt like they did. See, the idea was that the oldest, the firstborn, had the preeminence in that he had responsibility over his siblings. And can I tell you, that same brother of mine, Sylvester, he hovers over us as if we still have parents to this day. In college, it didn't stop there. He got a trip to Africa. He went to Ghana, the Ivory Coast, and I'm standing there like this. Now that I look back and see the big picture, he needed those experiences. He tells me, you know what, Mama, my dear, said to me? They would pull me aside and said, Sil, unfortunately, you are the oldest. Unfortunately. And your siblings are watching you. So we demand certain things out of you. So, he deserved the mantle. And I thank God they gave him those experiences. You know what he did for us? He was a freshman in high school, in college. This guy was such a go-getter, didn't want me to come to his college. I don't know why. Well, I do know, really. He said, Greg, you know what? What have you been known as all your life? You got it? Sylvester's brother. This dude's 17, 18 years old talking this trash to me. I wanted to go to his school. Wherever Syl did, I wanted to do the same thing. And he says, no, I'm going to talk to the assistant admissions guy at our school. He knows some people. Just happened that guy always wanted to go to Williams College. Not William and Mary, don't ever say that. Williams, in Williamstown, Massachusetts. He always wanted to go there. So he knew some folks over there. So I had the grades, didn't have the SAT score, but had the grades and the extracurricular and all that stuff. And I get in. My brother Don, he set it up for him to go to Connecticut College. He didn't help Iris get into Princeton. He didn't have that kind of pull. But Jenny, Carleton, where he went to school, Mina helped her get into school. This guy was taking the mantle and moving it forward. I thank God for our Joseph. Yes, yes. But jealousy can come in there. I wish I could develop that more, but I got to move the story along. This stuff that didn't appeal to him, and I understand it. We all should understand that. And at the end of their father's life, they did not appeal to him on the basis of their kinship because they had messed that up. Yes. He had died to them as their brother. And the only reason why they were still alive was because of him. He had to look beyond their faults. Come on, Ann, see their needs. They undoubtedly knew that they had no right because of their transgression against him. So from crisis to fear to repentance. I love that word. Can you say it? Repentance. So they begged him on the basis of their father's relationship to God. Our daddy loved God. Can you deliver us based on his relationship with the God that you love? That was the only plea they had. That's the only plea you have. Jesus knows your God, and he appeals to him on your behalf. You are alive today because he ever lives, come on, to intercede for you. He's talking about you every day of your life. That's a good thing. Look at Genesis 50, beginning at verse 18. Joseph wept when he spoke to them because it broke his heart that they were saying this stuff. He was over it a long time ago. His brothers also came and fell down before him and said, behold, we are your slaves. We are your servants. Them boys wanted to live. It's amazing the things you will promise somebody because you want to live. God, if you get me out of this, you know that at one point or another in your life, you have said that. To lie and say, did I say that? I thought I was thinking it. I said it. Joseph was deeply affected by these words. He gave them the strongest assurances of his forgiveness for them. He now has an opportunity to drive home to them some powerful lessons on the big picture. Here's the big picture. The big picture of God's sovereignty. Listen, but Joseph said to them, do not fear. Am I in the place of God? Am I in control of this? Well, most of us think we're in control of our lives. Most of us think we're in control of people's destinies. We watched a video yesterday of the Akko brothers. They were both NFL drafted, but the younger brother, he was the The Heisman, he didn't get the Heisman. He could pose, though, because he was the runner. He was the one who could run the ball. And the brother was always kind of bigger than him, so he was a lineman. How many linemen do you know? You don't know too many. But if it wasn't for the linemen, ain't that right, Phil? If it ain't for the linemen, you ain't running through no line. And, you're pointing at something. Oh, come here. Come, stand up here. You don't mind. Come on, Brother Jericho. Come on up here. Birthday was the other week. See, it wasn't for people like you. Come on, block for me, man. Block for me. All right. Put the hole open. That's a big old boy. Go on. Big old boy. Big old strong. He's decent looking, too. I ain't going to say much more about that. Talk about no dudes, man. He's decent looking. But, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going back there to Phil. You're right here, man. Sovereignty of God. Listen, Joseph said, am I in the place of God? Why are you scared? I can't take this out on you. You know how many people that Joseph had the right to take stuff out on? All his brothers, the Ishmaelite traders who sold him, Potiphar who didn't believe him, that woman, I'm sorry, did I say that with emotion? See, I had somebody lie on me one time, and I'm still feeling it. I'm still feeling it. Some of y'all know who it was. Don't call no name. Lie like a bearskin rug. Don't even get me. I hope you watching this. How dare you? This woman tried to get into the building, and I said, no, I'm the only one in here. I said that. I'm the only one in here. I want to come in just for a minute. Not even 30 seconds, lady. That's what I said. And then she went and lied on me anyway. That's why I'm angry. I forgive her, though, in Jesus' name. I forgive her. Dude trying to live right. You're trying to live right. A lot of bad boys out here trying to live right, and you go and lie on him. I feel you, Joseph. I feel you. Okay, got it out of my system. About every 6 months, I got to blow the system out. Am I in the place of God? God is the sovereign one. And he goes on, God's ways. Listen, he teaches them a lesson on God's sovereignty. I don't need to get you. God's the one who's sovereign. Secondly, he says, listen, God has his own ways. Verse 20 says, did I have that up there? As for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good. That's the way of God. Men don't think like that. When people do you wrong, when they do you wrong, understand there's somebody on their back doing stuff to them. You pray to get the monkey off the back of their back so they can get off of yours. Pray for your enemies. That's God's way. Y'all feel me? Not only that, he taught them lessons on God's purpose. He said, listen, but God meant it for good to bring it about that many people should be kept alive as they are today. Joseph went through everything he went through so that many people would be kept alive. Joseph went through what he went through so that many people would be kept alive. Do you know anybody in your life who went through what he went through so that many people would be kept alive? Yes, you know his name, don't you know his name? That's God's purpose, man. That's his whole, this was a microcosm of the big picture. The big picture. There's somebody coming one day. He's going to be the Joseph's Joseph who will come and bring it about that many people. That includes me. Aren't you glad it includes you? That you are kept alive. You don't understand what God has done for you. We will never totally get it. That's why we're going to be around forever. And not even since the passage of time. 20 trillion eons go by. Did that clock tick once? There's no such thing as time. Whew. He wanted to teach them lessons about God's encouragement too. He says in verse 21, so do not fear. I will provide for you and your little ones. Isn't that nice? Listen, you did me wrong, but I am going to provide for you. I'm going to provide not only for you, I'm going to provide for your kids. Thus he comforted them and spoke kindly to them. Don't you think that these guys really started falling in love with this man? All the jealousy goes away. All the enmity goes away. Why? Because somebody had enough of the presence of God in their lives that they came down and said, I understand what you did. I'm made out of the same stuff. But the journey that God brought me on brought me to a place where I see the big picture now. Everybody in my family would have been dead. Everyone would have been dead. Famine would have killed us all. But God caused famine in my life first so that all of you could be provided for. You can eat at the marriage supper of the Lamb. Ain't that amazing?